Okay. Hey, there we go. All right. So today is the first day of December, and from the sunshine and warm temperatures outside here in St. Louis, you wouldn't know that it was December. Let me see. So there, look at how like bright and beautiful it is outside. Ignore the dirt on my windows. But look at how bright and beautiful it is outside, and it's warm too, which is super nice. And you know, if we weren't doing a sewing video, then I'd probably be outside today with you guys because it's just so nice out there. But it is the first day of December, so I went ahead and I pulled the Year of Self-Care winner for last month, and that was Lone Wolf. So I'm going to be sending her some kind of prize. I don't know quite what prize yet, but I've already contacted her, so she knows. And we have 1 month left for our Year of Self-Care this year. That is December's Sparkly Bling It month. So originally I had said that I was going to spin something sparkly, and I might still. But, you know, I never did get around to doing my fun bunny sashiko kits, and I think I might have to get one of those out and stitch it just for fun. So that might be what I do for December. But if you've been playing along with the Year of Self-Care, you know that you can post anything that you want to social media, even if it's not this month's theme, which is, you know, sparkly, bling it, whatever. And it can be whatever you consider to be like sparkly or blingy. It can be like, you know, beads, or it can be like actual sparkly yarn if that's what you're into, or thread, fiber, whatever. Whatever you consider it. And all you have to do is just hashtag BSFE, hashtag Black Sheep Fiber Emporium, and post to social media and make sure that I can find it. That's the key. Have to be able to find it. And anyway, and then you'll be entered for our monthly prize. One last monthly prize for our Year of Self-Care. So, and then remember, next year we start our blanket along with the Pearly Shell Pirates. And if you want to be a part of that, there's information on blacksheepfiberemporium.com. You can go click the tab. I think it's under classes and events. And then just go down to knit along, crochet alongs, and you'll find out more information there. We are going to be adding more info about that to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all those lovely places. So be on the lookout for that. Today we are downstairs in my sewing area, so you can kind of see I've got like a sewing area behind me. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what I am doing to try to control my stash. Now, I bought fabric because I want to use fabric, and I know that seems like really backwards. It's kind of like when you have to buy a little bit of yarn to use a bigger amount of yarn. So it makes sense in my head. But I bought a little bit of solid to go with a layer cake, and so that's what I'm doing. Is I bought a few layer cakes that I thought were really cute. Put them in my stash. They've been sitting there, and I decided it's really time that I start using some of those layer cakes and putting together some fun quilts. So that's one pairing. I also have this fun pairing with the chickens and this navy blue that I'm going to put together. And I've been finding patterns. I did buy a few patterns, but I also found some that were free. So I'm doing both. And then the last pairing I have, let me take you over there. The last pairing I have is this one. So I had this fat quarter. So a fat quarter is, what is it, 18 by 22 inches, I think. It's a fat quarter cut of a yard of fabric. Anyway, and I thought that this was a really fun, so I laid it all out so you could see all the fun colors. But I thought that this would look really nice with this sort of semi-solid fabric, and I'm going to try to do something like this, I think. So this is an older, is this 2 years old now? No, just a year. This is an older Quilter's World that I had purchased, but I thought this would be really fun. So I'm going to talk about prep a little bit and what I'm planning to do with it to kind of achieve something similar to that quilt. Clearly it won't be the same quilt because, you know, that would be boring. Anyway, but I want to talk about that. But before we can do that, I just want to show you really quick look at the little mini loom that came. I'm gonna open this guy over the weekend and try to play with it a little bit so that next week we can do this for Wednesday, do the little clover mini loom and play with it. And then look what else came. Tina will be starting this, not today because, well, my shipment didn't get here in time for me to turn the shipment around to her, for her to start on day 1 of the Advent. But look, it's a super cute little embroidered Christmas tree Advent. Now, we only ordered a couple extra of these. If you want one this year and you get it ordered today, I will make sure it gets in the mail ASAP to you. It's really, really cute though. I am like, I want one for myself, but I know that I'm not going to get this done this year. So, you know, if somebody really wants it, I'll sell mine. You can have mine. And I'll just order another one for next year. So I'm just throwing that out there. Anyway, but look, so much fun. I love these Japanese kits. Love our supplier from Japan. All right. So one thing that's really important is your sewing machine maintenance. Sort of like we've talked about spinning wheel maintenance a lot. Today we're going to talk a little bit about sewing machine maintenance and then kind of some things that I'm planning to do with my fabric. But I wanted to walk you through like how to take your machine apart a little bit so that you can get into the nooks and crannies to do a little bit of the cleaning, the maintenance that needs to happen. So kind of a rule of thumb is like for every quilt that you finish, you should be changing your needle, and that's because your needle does become more dull as you are sewing. So, you know, that's sort of a rule of thumb. Now, I can't say that I follow it all the time. I do try to keep a ballpoint needle in one machine and a quilting needle in another machine. So I use different needles in each of my machines. They're both Janome, so I can swap them back and forth. But I do try to remember that, you know, every so often I need to switch those needles out. I don't necessarily do it for every project, but for every quilt's worth of sewing, you should definitely be changing your needle because it does make a difference to how that needle moves through the fabric. It's no different than making sure that we have nice sharp points on our knitting needles when we're trying to do lace work. Same thing here. We want nice sharp points when we're trying to poke through our fabric. So that's an important thing. I also use different feet. So sometimes I actually have a walking foot on this machine right now, and I'll show you what that looks like. So that when I am putting, you know, several layers through my machine, that it goes through at a little more even feed, because sometimes the feed dogs, we'll talk about those, will grab your fabric and pull it through a little bit faster. Anyway, and then lint will build up. A lot of lint builds up while you are sewing. And so I clean my serger almost every time that I use it, just because I know sergers are even worse about gathering lint. And I've actually already cleaned my other machine behind me. I took a video of that I'll try to put up on YouTube maybe sometime soon if I remember to get that done. I totally forgot I took that video until I just said it now. Anyway, so, you know, I'll try to share more about the cleaning process. Each machine will have a book that comes with it, and if for some reason you don't have your book, this is my serger book, by the way. If for some reason you don't have your book, a lot of the machine manuals are now online, so you can look that up, which is really nice. And it will have recommendations from the manufacturer as to whether or not you should be oiling your machine and where you want to do that. Sometimes you can also find other YouTube videos specific to your machine brand or model number, so that's always a good thing too to look up. So let's get into what we've got going on with our machine. I'm going to try to adjust the camera so that it's easier to see what's going on. So, yeah, that's not going to help here. Hang on. There we go. Let's see. I don't want to do this. Maybe like this, actually. Maybe like this. All right. So here's my machine, and hopefully this angle will hold. Just kind of have you propped up against the table here. All right. So the first thing that you'll want to do is you'll want to take off your tray if you have a removable tray that allows you to have a free arm. And I keep like random stuff in my tray. A lot of it's kind of what came with my machine, but I also put extra like bobbins and things in it. I was going to show you, but no, I can't get it open, which is terrible. The next thing you want to do is go ahead and take your bobbin cover off. And let me see if I can raise this just a little bit. There, that's better. You'll want to take your bobbin out. So here's my little wound bobbin. You will want to take your needle off. Let me move you in front here. Hopefully it will. There we go. So you'll want to take your needle off, and I just have a little screw right here. And there's my needle. And this one is fairly new. I haven't used this one for a full quilt yet, so I'll be putting this one back in. But that is how you take that little guy out. And then the other thing you need to do is take off your foot. And I actually have a walking foot on mine, so this is the walking foot. We'll take that off, and I will show you the difference between a walking foot and a regular foot. Maybe, if I can get my thing open. And this little tool, this is just, this is like a tiny little screwdriver that came with my machine. Another important point is that I have my machine off and unplugged while I'm doing this, because safety. It's very important. I don't really want to, I don't want to be electrocuted very badly. All right, so I took this off. Oh, look, I can already see the lint gathering here. So I'm going to take this soft little sponge brush. This is like one of my favorite little tools here. And just very gently take the lint off of this. Okay, let's take a look at a walking foot. So, let's see. This guy right here, this is my walking foot. It's a big piece. And clearly I have some lint built up in here as well. You can see all the lint in here. So I'm going to have to brush that out with my little sponge brush. But this is a walking foot. It's much bigger. It kind of glides over the top of your fabric so it doesn't catch on the feed dogs as badly. Let me see if I can. And you don't have to have a walking foot to quilt, like just doing your basic stuff. It's helpful when you're putting your binding on, I can tell you that for sure. Oh my gosh, I cannot get this open. Oh, I can't get it. There we go. Let's see if I can grab another foot. This is the other part of your foot. This is a regular A. They all have letter numbers, and I'm really bad about remembering which is which. This is a regular attachment that you would use to put your regular foot on. So this is what the foot looks like. And then it just snaps on and releases, just like that. Just like that. And so the screw goes through here, and that sits on the bar on your machine. It goes up and down. I can't remember the words right now. But that's a regular foot, and oh, what is this piece called? I can't remember. Whatever, foot piece that goes on the shaft. Anyway, and then this is a walking foot, so clearly very, very different piece of equipment that we use on the machine when we're trying to send several layers of fabric through. All right, so now, let's see. Scoot back just a little bit, try to keep this up. Come on. All right, so we got a couple of screws here that need to come out, so that we can take this faceplate off. That'll be the next thing. Now, I haven't cleaned this machine for quite a while, actually. So I expect there to be a good amount of lint in here. Pretty good amount of lint in here, especially because I ran some of that, like, fleece through it. You know, fabric fleece. So it should be pretty dirty. Which I guess is good for our purposes, not so good for my machine, though. That's why we're going to make it cleaner. Uh-oh. Come on. I'm not left-handed, so it's harder for me to do it this way. All right, and it's really important that you put your screws somewhere that they do not roll away, and that you remember where they go. So taking pictures can be helpful too if you've never done this before. All right, so now we're going to take the faceplate off. Ready for the big reveal? Let's see how bad it is. Let's see. Oh, okay, not terrible. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Now I'm going to take you off just a second. Let's look. How bad is it? Not terrible. Not terrible. I'm going to grab my little spongy brush here and take some of this off and see if it's bad enough. So these are my feed dogs right here. I'm definitely getting some lint buildup in there. Now what I like to do is I like to take these little screwdriver pieces that they, oh yeah, look at that guy. That's a little chunk of lint. Yeah, I've definitely got some lint in my feed dogs. Ooh, look at that one. That one's yucky. Take that out. This, though, is why you clean them. You also don't ever want to blow your machine out with one of those, like, oh, you know, the compressed air cans. You always want to use a vacuum on your machine. That way you get, like, little stuff like this. Look at that. Ew. See my 3 little lint balls on my feed dogs? Look, my feed dogs are already so much cleaner. And this little piece right here is what helps to grab on to your fabric and pull it through the machine. Now, I am kind of taking a look here to see if it's really bad down in the base of my machine. Oh, I gotta take a look at all this. All that lint that I was able to grab. I gotta put you back on my stand while I clean off my sponge brush. Sorry, guys. Okay. So here's me cleaning my sponge brush. Just taking some of this lint off. That's all I'm trying to do, is just pull some of the lint off. So that, look at this pile of lint we're getting. It's a lot of lint in my machine. There. See that pile of lint? It's icky. We don't want that in our machine. All right. Let's see. There we go. Get back in there. Just trying to decide if there's enough lint, especially down in under this bobbin area, to warrant. I don't know. I could take my feed dog off and pull this piece out and clean under it. I'm just trying to decide if I need to do that. That is one of the things, the further along that you get with your machine. There, look, I pulled out a lot more lint. This is why you may want to consider taking it and having it professionally cleaned, because it does look like I may need to take this feed dog section off, pull my bobbin. I can pull this casing out. Ooh, that one's really icky. Let's get in there. Look at that. I know, you're like so excited, aren't you, to look at my dirty, linty filled machine. There, see all this lint under here? Look at that. That's a big old chunk. Hang on. Look at our pile. We got a nice pile going on that we've cleaned out. There we go. Now, for the Janomes, a lot of times this spot right here is where you would put just a couple drops of sewing machine oil. And I think I have mine down here, so I may just go ahead and just put a drop in there just to be sure. I can kind of see I've got some lint built up under here too. So what I may do is go ahead and take my feed dogs off and clean this a little bit better. If I can't get it with my, oh, there, my sponge brush actually grabbed it. See that chunk of lint that came out? Ew. Got quite a little pile. Look at all the lint I pulled out of the machine so far. And this, I mean, I clean my machines fairly regularly. I probably do it every 6 months, which is, you know, you're supposed to do it every year, but I've been sewing enough recently. Oh yeah, see, I shoved it down in there. Get a little more out. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I don't think this time that I will take my feed dogs off. Now, I did take them off on the Janome, the other Janome, so I will let you guys see that video. I'll try to get that edited and up soon. But we are going to go ahead and just take a drop. And if you didn't know, sewing machine oil and spinning wheel oil are essentially the same thing. And I'm just going to put 2 little drops down in there, 3 little drops. There we go. Not a lot, just a little hint of oil, because I do want to keep my machine all spick and span and ready to go. And now I can put it back together because I've decided that I'm going to go ahead, there we go, and put it back together this time. I don't think I need to take my feed dogs off and clean underneath that bobbin casing. All right, so there we go. So now I've put my first piece back in. And now we're going to put the faceplate back on. Oh, it helps if you put it on the right way. There we go. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to throw this back on the holder. Here we go, guys. So you can watch me very carefully put the screws back in. And what I like to do is go ahead and do like part of one screw and part of the other screw, and then fully secure it down. So I'm going to do this, and then, yeah. Okay. Turn that screw. And I also like to turn them so that they're tight, but not over tight, because, you know, I do have to take this off to clean my machine. Okay, looking good, looking good. All right, the next thing that's going to go back in will be my bobbin. And this one actually has a little guide that trims your tail, which is kind of nice. So this is the little guide that trims your tail. Oop. Put the bobbin case face back on. All right, and then I do want, all right, I do want my walking foot again. Now, the thing that always gets me that I forget to do is I start putting my walking foot on. Oh, wait, I forgot I wanted to wipe this off a little more. There, get some of the lint off of this. Yeah. There, that's better. So the thing I always forget to do is there's this little arm here on the walking foot, which has to go above the needle, screw arm bar thing here. I forget what it's called. And I always forget that I have to put that up, and then I'm like, why isn't my walking foot working? Oh yeah, because I didn't do that right. So anyway, put this on. And again, I like to make sure that it's tight but not overly tightened, so that, you know, I can actually get it off again when I need to. So let's see, how are we doing? Feels like it's just about there. Perfect. And then we'll go ahead and put the needle back in. And the needles, I don't know if you can see this. So the needles actually have a flat side and a round side. So they will only go in properly one way. And that is flat side to the back. And then tighten that down. And there, now our machine has been thoroughly cleaned, at least sort of thoroughly cleaned. I mean, look at this pile of lint that we pulled out. I mean, clearly it needed to be cleaned. And there's still lint on the brush too. I mean, definitely needed cleaned. I feel much better about my machine now. And then I go ahead and I put my, this one slides in. My other one pulls off. There. Put my little box back on, and I'll show you what I keep in the box here. So, I have mostly the pieces that came with my machine, but I've got the seam ripper. This is a handy dandy little brush and tool for cleaning out small spaces, which is nice. These are ends that go up on and hold your bobbin in place. I've got extra bobbins, and you need to make sure that you're getting bobbins for your machine, because Janome will only take Janome bobbins. It doesn't like other bobbins. And like brother needs brother bobbins. Anyway, I've got my buttonholer foot, and then I've got some extra feet in here. So this is kind of the stuff that I keep in here, as well as that handy dandy little screwdriver piece that came with my machine. And then because I have the walking foot on there, I keep the original foot and the foot holder, I don't remember what it's called, in there as well, so I don't lose it, because that's always an issue. Anyway, and that's what goes in there. And then this guy, I actually keep this in my other Janome. so that I always have one down here with me, and I have like a whole package of these little sponge brushes that I use because, you know, you gotta clean your machine and make sure that it's not all like lint filled. So there, I hope that was kind of fun for you guys. Having done that, let's head back over, there we go, and take a look at fun stuff, because I like fun stuff. So, uh-oh. What did I do? Oh, there we are. Okay. So here we go, fun stuff. So this is kind of what I'm planning for my next quilt top, is I want to take these fat quarters. Now my pattern does say that you only use 21 fat eighths, and I have 30 fat quarters. So I may end up with some extra fabric, and if I do, I'm either going to make my top larger, which I kind of wanted to do anyway, or what I might do is make some pillowcases to match my quilt. I haven't fully decided yet, but I think that this will be a decent match. What do you guys think? Is this like a decent match? I think it's okay for this. I think it'll be okay. I don't know. All right. So this is what I'm planning next for like a quilting pattern kind of thingy. And then, because, you know, it'll be fun. Hang on. And then, because we're down here, of course, in my, like, downstairs, let me show you what else I've been working on. So I wanted to make a quilt top for Ina. And I cranked this one out because she is almost, but not quite, out of her like little, you know, toddler crib. So this is what I made. Hi. This is what I made for Ina. See if I can step back far enough. It's kind of a pinwheel quilt, but I made some mistakes because I forgot when I was, let me find one. This one's a good one. I forgot when I was cutting my blocks down and fixing the edges, that notice like that's not a great pinwheel. Like this one doesn't come to a really good point. Oops. Yeah, that's because I forgot that when I was trimming my blocks that I needed to be like equal in the fabric that I was taking off. I was only taking it off one side for like, I don't know, 10 of the blocks, 12 of the blocks, like a lot of the blocks, really, honestly. So I have a whole bunch of points that don't meet all nicely for a pretty pinwheel effect. But you know what? It's done. I think it looks good. I don't think Ina's gonna care. And this way I can ship it off and have it quilted so that she'll have her own quilt for her room. Because I did make a quilt for my niece, which I already gave her for her birthday. And I've also finished the quilt, that's the next piece, for my brother and my sister-in-law. And I'm not really a big quilter. Like, this is the 4th quilt top I've made now, this one. So I made 3 before this. This is my 4th one. I learn something every time I do it too. Make a lot of mistakes. But anyway, so this is the one that I did for my brother and my sister-in-law. And this was my first quilt top. I made a lot of mistakes in this one. Made a lot of mistakes. And you know, the thing is, don't be afraid to make mistakes. You'll learn something every time you make a mistake. It makes me a better quilter. It makes me remember that I have to do things like, you know, square up all 4 edges of the block instead of squaring to one corner of the block. I mean, come on. I should have known that. Anyway. This is the one that I finished. Here we go. Ooh, for my brother and my sister-in-law. This one I had lots of issues with. So Tina actually got me started with this one. I found all my fabric and I started like strip quilting it, or cutting it maybe. And then I discovered, oh yes, this is the right end even. I discovered that it wasn't wide enough to make a nice queen quilt top. And you'll notice it doesn't line up right here. That's because I tried to make it wider, only I didn't pay enough attention to the fact that it wasn't lining up as I was sewing it. Yeah, whoops. So it doesn't line up as well as it should along that side. And then when I got the top all done and I had my error and whatever, I threw it on the bed and I realized it still wasn't big enough because apparently math is not my strong suit. So I ended up having to add this fabric, but then it wasn't very pretty. So when I sent it to my friend Linda, she actually cut a lot of it off and brought in her batik fabric along the edge, which is much nicer than what I had. And then she quilted it for me. I do, however, really love the fabric that I used on the back. Like, I love this fabric. I think it's so pretty. It's supposed to look like wood rings, like cut trunks. Anyway. But what I really like is that I did the binding, and I learned a lot doing the first binding on my niece's quilt. So then when I did the second one, I thought, okay, I'm going to be like, it's going to be great, and I do a really good job. I did okay. Each time I do it, I think I'm going to get a little bit better. But one of the things I really love is that if you notice, it goes from like dark to light to dark again, because I picked this really fun like ombre fabric. And so the edge has a little more texture and color to it that I hadn't really intended on, but I love that it ended up that way. And I did hand sew the binding on this quilt. Did I do a great job? Well, I mean, no, you can kind of see my stitches. I didn't really pick a color that was going to match the fabric either. That's another thing that I probably should have done, but I really just wanted this done because it already had so many mistakes. I was like, yeah, what's a few more? So anyway, it's done. It's gonna go to my brother and my sister-in-law, and they can either use it on their bed or they can put it on their couch or whatever. And of course, I made them a queen size because at the time that I started making this quilt, they had a queen size bed, and now they've upgraded to a king. So that's another thing. If it takes you too long to finish your projects, sometimes it comes back to bite you in the butt. But that's okay. I really do love these trees. I love this tree fabric on the back. So anyway, there's a few of my mistakes. Some things that I could have done better on this quilt are paying attention to the seams so that all of my seams matched better when I had to add that extra strip of blocks. And then another thing that I needed to do was pay attention when I was binding and match the color of my thread to the binding. Would have been good. Another thing would have been like just you know, double checking my calculations because clearly something did not line up. Just throwing that out there. And then again with my top for Ina, I totally needed to make sure that I was trimming equally around my square instead of just trimming one side. I don't know why that seemed like it was a good idea. It did at the time, and then the further I got into it, the less I realized that that was a good idea. And the sad part is I even have like a 9.5 inch square, which is what I needed, that I could have laid on top of my squares, but then I kind of forgot that I had it. So anyway, that's okay. She will like it, and I'll just make her another quilt top. I mean, clearly I already have 3 more tops planned, and I have a 4th top that's not finished. That, like, I have it 80% done, but I have to do all of the layout. And I did start making myself like a big board. They're totally mistakes, Bev, but I learn from them, and that's the key. Because each time you make a mistake, then you figure out how to fix it and you get a little bit better. I mean, at least that's what you should be doing. Anyway, so I made these big boards. I took foam and I covered them with flannel, and I put pins in all of the edges so that I have like a creative board that I can stick my fabric to, because, you know, it'll stick to the flannel because everything sticks to flannel, right? Including the dog hair, because the dog's down here. And, oh, and I have my coffee. I forgot I had this. Yeah. Oh, I did good on the coffee today. Anyway, so I need to lay out my top because, and it's funny, like, you start with, you know, it's only this much fabric to make a full quilt top. This could make like almost a queen size quilt with a layer cake and 3 yards of fabric. Like, that's a pretty good size quilt. That's a pretty good size quilt. But, you know, it's funny how it's this much fabric and yet, you know, the quilt ends up so much bigger. Anyway, So I have all these ideas for quilt tops that I want to work on over the winter, but I'm also in the midst of working on patterns for the slow yarn crawl and getting that ready to go. And then of course we are planning our blanket along pattern, and that brings me to talking about next year. So we are going to have both a knit and a crochet option. It's free to join. You can just like pop onto the Facebook group. If you don't want to do the Facebook group, totally fine. You can just join us with Facebook and Instagram. Otherwise, you don't have to be a part of the group. We've started talking about colors. I need to throw up some of the patterns that we've looked at. It's going to be kind of a design your own adventure sort of thing. So, you know, you can make your blanket however you want. I think I'm going to end up doing mine out of fingering weight. Tina had suggested maybe the Mian cotton, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to do a cotton blanket. Haven't fully decided yet, but oh, but my child is awake. Hi! You only took like an hour-long nap. Is that funny? That's funny. Anyway, next week we are going to do, let's see. I think we're doing Mediterranean knotted lace on Monday, and then Wednesday we're going to be doing the super fun little Clover mini loom. We're going to weave on the Clover mini loom. Really excited about this. And then the week after that, I think we are going to do a stitchy kit with Ina. And then we'll be back to spinning because we've done sewing, and then we'll do weaving, and then we'll do spinning. So anyway, maybe I will spin the sparkly yarn finally for December. So, Mama, yeah, hi Ina. Hi. She's upstairs talking to me over the railing. Anyway, yes, that's fine. I'll be up in a minute. So, anyway. We have lots of fun stuff planned, so make sure that you are subscribed to the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, the Instagram channel, our TikTok channel, all those fun things, because we're going to put stuff up on all of those talking about our blanket along for next year. And don't forget that we got lots of fun new stuff in, both from Kariki Press with those really, really cute ornament kits, and our box from Japan that clearly has the really fun mini loom, and the advents and all the other fun stuff that we ordered. But anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing you all again next week. Don't forget that I put all of these videos up on our YouTube channel, so you can follow along there if you'd prefer. And until next time, like I like to say, take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and craftually. Make sure that you're doing that 15 minutes of crafting every day just to, you know, make your brain happy. At least that's what it does for me. But I am going to go take care of Ina and work on some of my slow yarn crawl stuff that I have to get done. So I will see you all on Monday. Take care of yourself. Bye.